Two Florida men have filed a lawsuit against the Democratic Party in Florida to prevent Bernie Sanders from even appearing on the ballot for primaries. What's your take on any surprise here, really?
No, I mean, we have some hardcore centrist Democrats here in Florida who do not like Bernie Sanders. We also have plenty who do like Bernie Sanders, but these two men from the Florida Panhandle decided, you know what? We want to make a big stink about this. We want to get some national attention saying we don't like Bernie. And that's what this is. This is a huge publicity stunt.
Yeah.
They know they don't really have a strong argument here because the Democratic Party of Florida decides who can be on that ballot, and they already decided Bernie's on it.
It's a bigger story. I mean, this is a bigger story. I love the fact, Chris Matthews just loses his job. They say, well, he attacked Bernie by the whole Nazi example. Here's the heart of that. Matthews got his marching orders from Phil Griffin, who runs MSNBC, just like the folks at CNN get their marching orders. Defeat Bernie Sanders. It's not just in politics, it's in the media. And so right now, if you take a look at the sites today, they're already said Biden's going to be the guy because Obama, as we speak, is making telephone calls all over the country saying, defeat Bernie Sanders. Obama's doing that. Defeat Bernie Sanders. It's just a rehash of what we saw with Hillary Clinton. If Biden's there, he's going to lose again. He's nothing more than Hillary Clinton with a little better personality. That's all it is.
Well, and a little less mental capacity at this point, it looks like, too. I mean, Joe Biden has all of the problems that Trump has, but none of the charisma to at least generate some kind of enthusiasm. Love him or hate him, Trump generated enthusiasm among his base. Bernie Sanders generates enthusiasm with his base. There's nobody out there screaming and cheering and lining up by the 10,000 for Joe Biden.
He doesn't excite anybody.
No,
But let me take a sideways on this, okay? The Matthews, they got rid of Matthews. The talking point was he did wrong. You know what the real truth is? They got rid of Matthews because he was being paid too much money. You've got MSNBC going down the tubes as far as viewers, 30% down, just like CNN. So all these old guys who have been there on a big contract are losing their job. Look out, Joe Scarborough, huh? Isn't that? But the point is, as we follow this media and we actually look at the hysteria that the media has created, it's not just taking place in the management of the DNC. The management of the DNC is so closely aligned with the MSNBCs, the CNN. Bernie Sanders is history. These people are going to make him history, and he's the best shot at beating Donald Trump. Bernie Sanders can beat Donald Trump, just like we said last time when they put Hillary Clinton. Remember, time and time again, Bernie Sanders can beat Donald Trump. And I say it this time, but they're not going to do it. If he doesn't, it's either going to be by way of floor fight or it's going to be way of just sheer numbers. But we're going to find that Joe Biden, it's like taking a square peg and trying to put a round hole to make this fit, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, Bernie Sanders is the best polling person right now, especially against Donald Trump. His ideas are more popular than everybody else. Biden offers nothing. What Biden offers is a return to what they're calling normalcy, which means, okay, well, the president doesn't get on Twitter all the time, then nothing else changes.
No. Normalcy for the Democrats, for the Wall Street Democrats, is Wall Street's involved. Wall Street's making decisions.
Well, that's the nothing else changes part.
Goldman Sachs makes decisions. Boeing makes decisions on who we go to war with. That's the normalcy that the Democrats want. And it'll tear this party apart. Mm-hmm. There will be progressives who will not show up for the general election. I don't care how much they hate Trump. They hate what has happened to this very decent man. They're going to hate what's happened, and they're not going to show up. And this is exactly the same thing we said last time again. And it wasn't just us. It was progressives all over the country. Yeah. They called us Bernie bros, act like we were some kind of crazy people because we cared enough to the fact that we wanted a candidate that could really win. Biden half the time doesn't even know where he is. Right. He said, I'm waiting for Super Thursday, and here I'm in Nevada, and he's in Colorado. I mean, it goes on. And in the general election, you're going to see it even get worse.
No, the ads write themselves. All you have to do is play clips from his speeches to show that this guy is not all there. I mean, he said last week, I'm Joe Biden, I'm running for Senate.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand. We could have real positive change in this country, but it would require Wall Street to pay a little bit more, and that's unacceptable for them, and the DNC is willing to tank themselves to make sure it doesn't happen.
Real quick, what about Obama making telephone calls? As we speak, he's making telephone calls. Now, remember, Obama would not even endorse Biden. You remember that? I'm not going to endorse him. But now he's making telephone calls, even though he knows how weak Biden is.
I think Obama, like the rest of the establishment, and he is terrified of what is going to happen to this party if Bernie Sanders takes over. It's going to put it in the right direction, and they don't want to see that because it's going to cost them some money. And so he's doing all this behind-the-scenes shadow work, and it's going to crater the party and destroy 2020.
Yeah, God forbid we ought to have a Democratic Party that actually represents the American public. Farron, thank you for joining me, okay?
Thank you.